This video is going to challenge your understanding about consciousness and evolution. It's going to change your perception about how you see the evolution of consciousness. And at times it may seem like that I'm drifting off the topic a little bit, but it's all connected. You just have to connect the dots. Many philosophers and scientists believe that the brain is more like a receiver of consciousness and not the one that produces it. Philosopher Robert Foreman suggests that the consciousness exists as a kind of field out there, and the function of the brain is to pick up the consciousness like a radio receiver and then to channel it into our individual organism. Even Nikola Tesla believed in something like this, and he said, "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know that it exists." And what that means is brain is not the one producing these creative ideas, but it's receiving it from somewhere. Even Einstein said that he would spend hours thinking about something and not make much of a progress, but the moment he took his focus off, went off somewhere, then out of nowhere he would receive these ideas, these insights. Now I have explained a little bit about this core, this source from where we receive all of these insights, these ideas, all of these high frequency information from. I mean, I don't completely understand it, but I'm perceiving something about it. So you can go and watch my video titled Solitude, a Portal to the Universal Mind. Brain is like a radio receiver of consciousness of this reality. I would actually say this whole body, this suit, is like a radio device that is tuning you with this specific station of this reality. And I guess one of the reasons why animals have this thing called sixth sense is because maybe they have like a different, radio device that sort of like helps them to tune in with different frequencies, making them sense anomalies in this station. So the reason why I'm calling this place a station, because reality is one single whole, but it has many stations in it, or densities of consciousness. I have posted some links in the description that will help you understand these densities of consciousness a lot better. So there are different kinds of densities or stations or whatever you want to call it. And each station has different kinds of frequencies, but in general there are higher frequencies and lower frequencies. So the lower frequencies of this human station would be that of criminals, people with mental illnesses, drug addicts, homeless people. And the higher frequencies would be of scientists, inventors, spiritual people, teachers, spiritual teachers, people in like high frequency professions like doctors, nurses, firefighters, the list goes on. And all of this depends on the relationship that the observer has with the reality. What I mean by that is if the observer is in a lot of conflict with the reality, there is a lot of separation between the observer and the reality, then the observer is going to get shifted towards the lower frequencies. But if there's not so much of conflict, there's not so much separation, there's harmony between the observer and the reality, then the observer will start moving towards higher frequencies. So what that basically means is you have to control the knob here, which controls the frequency. And you can choose high frequencies or low frequencies. Right now, as you're watching this video, you are tuning with a specific frequency. And if you have stayed till here, till this part of the video, the good news is you don't have much of separation or conflict with the reality, regardless of whatever your current circumstances are. I mean, you could be a homeless watching this video, but if you have like managed to stay till this part of the video, then there is an aspect of you which is holding a lot of high frequency energy. And that's why you got tuned in with this frequency. So this is a frequency, not a person. So continuing on, I want to talk about evolution here. We see evolution as this linear progression from the lower consciousness to the higher consciousness, and the life form has no control over it. Well, because we perceive reality with this filter of linear time, we see evolution as this linear progression. But if you have the control here on the knob and you can set it to a different frequency, then you can pretty much control your evolution. I'll share an example with you. When you look at criminals, what you would find is they have so much of separation and conflict with the reality. If you go to the prison, what you would find is the relationship dynamic that the criminals have with each other is very primitive, where these animalistic survival patterns dominate their lives. Well, that's a consequence of being dragged down to the lower frequencies because the conflict that they have been creating with the reality. And this is one of the reasons why their mind is becoming more and more animalistic now. And when you look at people with higher frequencies, the intelligent people, educated people, the spiritual people, they don't exchange dialogue with this obsession of trying to prove their competence, trying to act tough or alpha. The interaction is not of competence, but it is of compassion and curiosity. And so it seems like the intelligent people are not so much controlled or driven by these animalistic survival patterns. Or even the average is so much controlled and constrained in these shackles of these animalistic survival instincts. So could that mean in order to become intelligent, all you gotta do is tune yourself with the higher frequencies? The answer is yes, and I'll share my own example to help you understand that. I was not this person the way you're perceiving me right now. I was very dysfunctional and I suffered from depression and anxiety. I had a lot of conflict and separation with this reality. One of the reasons why I understand criminals a lot better is because I was so much on the lower frequency that I got tuned in with them. And it could have been worse for me, but there was an aspect of me that was holding a lot of high frequency energy that just stopped me from going down that path. And now it all makes sense, because the first time when I started doing meditation in 2014, this high frequency aspect of mine got activated. And then I started receiving a lot of these informations that I had no idea how to process them, and I got overwhelmed. But eventually it all started making sense and I could understand the reality a lot better. So the changes I saw during my evolution were, the first one was a great deal of change in my intelligence, a great deal of change in my perception, and I also started to become less animalistic. I was not seeing the world as a competition anymore. I still don't see it anymore. I don't go crazy or get jealous when I see someone driving a Lamborghini or wearing expensive stuff. It doesn't bother me. I don't interact with people with this obsession of trying to prove my competence. Overall, I feel like I have evolved, much evolved than the average, and now I'm getting tuned in with really cool and amazing people. Some of them feel like extraterrestrials from different dimension with this genius level of intelligence. So once again, all of this depends on the relationship that the observer has with the reality. The observer can create a lot of conflict and separation with the reality, and then can get tuned into the lower frequencies, become more animalistic. And if that happens, then the observer will start to create these animalistic survival patterns. Or the observer can choose to go to the higher frequencies, dissolve the separation and dissolve the conflict with the reality, and then become more intelligent, more perceptive, and less animalistic. The good news is most of us have started doing this inner work, aligning ourselves with higher frequencies, dissolving separation and conflict with the reality, and all of this is resulting in this drastic change in our collective intelligence. And I'm telling you, if this continues, then soon we will become an interstellar civilization. Have a good day.